now. Oh, that was nice. All right, so we are live once again at
Royal Collectables,
your friendly neighborhood comic shop, located at 9601 Metropolitan Avenue in Forest Hills,
Queens, New York.
Yep. This was the third live stream interview we're doing, and obviously it's going to be up on our YouTube page. And I have another guest with me. Last minute, I have to thank for coming in last minute. I have Curves and Bullets creator. So you see that? And if you look tiny, see how close I can get in there.
Zoom in.
Wait, wrong way. That's Rodolfo.
Yep.
I always call him Rolo.
I know. Everyone does. Rodolfo's. It's too formal.
Ledesma?
Yes.
Ledesma. All right. Yep. So, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? I've known you for quite some time.
Yeah.
And you've done a lot of stuff, and you brought a whole bunch of stuff here. So, as you mentioned it, I'll hold it up.
Yes. I brought, in fact, known Mark for like almost 10 years now, just about, maybe even more.
More than 10 years.
Yeah, about 12 years. I remember it all started when I used to be part of Terminal Press, which is one of their books that got me nominated for the Will Eisner Russ Manning Award. So thanks to that phony baloney scene, Terminal Press, Beatus and Brian Ferrara writing, and my artwork was pretty awesome. It was an awesome combination of all these talents merging into one. So I had so much fun with that one.
Can people still buy this book?
Actually, no. Set to
look at this, one of a kind, out of print. Out of print right here.
It's really rare, so rare.
So that's what you started off on.
Yes, and thanks to this book, got nominated too. So it's pretty awesome. And then over the years working with Brian and Terminal Press, we went on to do other books, and this is the other one that we worked on, called Debbie Does Dallas, but has nothing to do with those movies. It's just the title that we used. And it was pretty fun, actually. One of my first zombie comics that I actually done ever. So it was pretty fun to do. And it was it was sort of reminds you of the cheerleader video game that came out a few years afterwards. It's like, wow, kind of,
the candy bubble chainsaw thing.
Yes, that one.
That I don't know the name of.
Me neither. Just slipped my head. But this is basically kind of like the precursor of all those things. So, and then after a while, working with Terminal Press, I also do storyboarding and advertising. One of the things I do is mostly work on music videos and TV spots that you see on regular TV, and I work with various agencies that over the years I've gotten pretty close with and tight, and they rely on me to come through, and I always gotta come through.
All right, so let's start with that. I remember in the 90s when I guess comic books exploded.
Yes.
on the market scene.
Yep.
A lot of big time name artists, which will remain nameless, started to just leave comics.
Yeah.
And do advertising because they're like, oh, there's money in advertising, and there's no money in comics.
Exactly. That was the explosion.
So is that a fact? There is no money in comics, and there's tons of money in advertising.
Yes. And if you're fast and reliable, you get called every time, and it's really lucrative. So you do pretty well.
So do you find that because of your comic background, it's easier to do advertising?
It's so much easier. In fact, the workers I work with, they always tell me, since I have that experience of working with comics, they like that I use certain angles, because I incorporate all of the comic angles, and they like that for their advertising shots. And for example, when it comes to cars and certain vehicles, they want that money shot where it's like a certain cool angle. So I always draw that way for them, and it's pretty cool to see it afterwards on film. So it's pretty nice.
So what else do you have? I know you have more stuff. What are you working on now that's not advertising?
Yes, exactly. Between advertising and comic books with Terminal Press, after a while I said, let me just create my own comic. Because Terminal Press went defunct and went on to do other things. Elite Goods I was part of too. That went also another way. But I was stuck to my guns with my own storyline that I wanted to do. So I just started doodling one day. Some girls, hot girls with biker outfits, and then I threw in the Mad Max effect and the big bikes and the guns and the whole madness. So I said, you know what, let me create something. And Keith McCleary, who's a good friend of mine who started also at Terminal Press, he said, why don't we make a comic out of these crazy characters? And from that day forward, I made Curves and Bullets.
Now let's just make this clear that this all came out before Mad Max 4.
Yes.
So he's not ripping off anybody.
Exactly.
This is his own
my own
his
madness.
own madness. And then the guy's like, "Hey, we're gonna make a movie."
Yes.
Does that hurt or help you when something
It helps me.
comes out in that form?
It helps because my roots of all this was the original Mad Max stories, and also growing up watching, you know, the cartoons of the G.I. Joe books and all that. Because if you notice, Curves and Bullets, like, okay, it's biker gangs and all in the future, but also is like a little bit militaristic in some ways. So there's hints of everything. And growing up with all that influence with the 80s style of artwork and comics, it's been pretty fun. And now I'm book 2, which is actually even a thicker graphic novel.
Look at this thing. All right, so that's number 2.
Yes.
Go back to number 1.
Number 1 was the basic,
Look at that.
and then little by little they're
Look at that,
becoming,
little thicker.
they're getting bigger and bigger. Book 3 is gonna be the same, real big graphic novel. So they're fun to work with because it's really cool to have a writer that sees what I see, and he incorporates his own, you know, parts into it. So, and it basically makes my artwork come alive thanks to his writing.
Do you find it easier when you're collaborating with somebody or when you're doing it all by yourself?
In the beginning, I felt it was easier by myself. But then as time went on, I said, I need help. I can't do this all by myself. It's not gonna happen. So friends of mine who were always into writing and comics and everything, I grew up with, they always said, yeah, I'll help you with something. So, and being around, like I said, with Terminal Press and the other guys, it helped me establish friendships also with a lot of these writers. And it's so funny, after a while, they all know the way I draw is, they always call it like classic, because I tend to draw real old school, you know. So that's my influence. So I always tend to stick to that.
So, Baby Rolo.
Yes.
What was he reading?
Man.
What was he following?
Hulk and Iron Man.
So you're a Marvel kid.
Yes. Not too much into DC. I liked DC when I was growing up, but it's so funny. There's a story behind why I got into comics and also Hulk and Iron Man. I didn't read too well in 2nd and 3rd grade. I was really bad, really bad. And a tutor in my school in Manhattan, she told me, I'm gonna sign you up to the teacher. I'm gonna sign you up to a tutor. And it's so funny. I went to Hunter College. They had all these students, and they all tutored me. And one of them actually said, she brought me a comic, and she goes, "This should help you a lot." And it was a Hulk comic. And from that day forward, I said, I'm gonna stick with comics, and because of that,
Reading through comics. See, look at that.
Yes.
That's just really cool.
And it does happen. It does really. It helps so much. It's like, wow. And then Star Wars came around and all this and that. I was like, and my brother's also all into comics too. So I was always around that. And then being in a household of my mom, who was an artist, so it influenced a lot into even what I was drawing and stuff. So
What kind of art did she do?
she was fine artist. She was a fine artist.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, really well known in the Caribbean. And she's in
Why
history.
don't you mention her name?
Clara.
Throw a shout out, man.
Yes, my mom, Clara Ledesma. God bless. Because of her, I am where I am with the books. And she always told me, it's so funny. She always said, "You have your own style. Don't imitate what I do. Your style is really, you like comics. Stick with the comics." And to me, that was like really also pretty influential. She backed me up into comics and graffiti and all my artwork. And
That advice will segue to the next question. Once again, in the 90s, or even today,
yeah.
there were certain artists that at the time were very popular,
Yep.
and they just had their own. I guess the word what they used was clones.
Yes. Oh, yes.
That they had people like ghost comic
Yep.
ghost comic artists,
Yep.
and
They literally drew.
they drew
just
exactly like. So, do you find that it's better or worse in this type of sense? Like, should you encourage people out there to find your favorite comic book artist and draw like them, or find all your comic book artists, take what you can take out of it, and then make it your own?
That is what I always like. I rather take hints, influences, styles, but don't draw exactly like the actual artist itself that you admire. Because I admire tons of artists. Like I grew up with like Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and he's, to me, I call him Maestro because and I was actually honored because he's friends with me on Facebook, and he went to my page, I guess one late night or whatever, and
He was just hanging around.
yeah, and it's funny, and he actually posted on my page like, I really like your work, it's so amazing. So
Look at
to
that.
me,
Look at that.
hearing that from him was like, it was mind blowing. But definitely create your own style. That, you can have hints of different artists. That's natural, because if you, especially in some artists, that they draw dynamic poses and stuff like that. I usually use like the dynamic shots of John Romita Jr. or even his dad with the Spider-Man pose and all that, and Neil Adams, and even Jim Lee himself. Because I always admire him and Scott Williams. That's a tag team, and and so to me, seeing all that, and hear what Mom used to tell me about creating your own style, to me that's so important, because it'll make you stand out, and eventually as you get older, your style will even get better. It's a cliche, but it's true. So
So don't expect to get $1 million right away. Is that
oh
what
no,
you're saying?
that's not gonna happen.
And you have some original artwork here, so let me.
Yes, here's actually
This
some
is
sneak
about
peek.
stuff about standing out.
Yeah.
Look at that stuff.
That's the sneak peek of Curves and Bullets Part 3, which will be out actually at the New York Comic Con in a few, maybe months.
In a month and a half, actually.
Yeah.
This is August.
I'm running a
Comic-Con
little
is
late.
Columbus Day.
Running a little late because I gotta still, put the letters on. Well, not me, but I'm getting, my friend to put the wording and stuff. So we're almost there. It always happens.
I distinctly remember way back when I went to the local comic book school, and they said that the ability of the artist should be able to tell the story in sequential artwork, which this is, without any words.
Yes, that is so true.
Why don't you explain how hard that is to
That's
do?
the thing. That's the thing. To me, it's so funny. I always visualize when I read something, and in my head automatically I already see the scenes. So for me to transfer it on paper it's pretty. It got to a point it's pretty easy now. But in the beginning it was really hard because I had to think, what should go in this way and that way, and I would erase so many times, and it was all like going back and forth. But after, I guess, doing it for 10 years, you kind of already know, all right, I see it here. And just by reading a script, I already see in my own head. Sometimes, which is good and bad, because a lot of times writers say, well, you kind of went a little away from what I wrote down on the piece of paper. It does happen. Like, I do get a little crazy and just go a little more further.
So when you're writing stuff, do you have your own self as an artist in mind?
Yes, I really do. And it's so funny. Like for example, when I draw panels like these, like I'm mostly influenced also by European comic artists, and that style of vehicles and the crazy action. There's a French book called Michel Valiant, which is like a racing comic basically, and it's the graphic novels. And all my life growing up seeing, John Graton, who drew these things, it's like race cars, all kinds of cars. So I was like, I gotta draw like that. So watching him over the years was a big influence in me drawing, and that's why even these words here are very influenced by that. So, but it's to me it's fun because I can be going through a rough day or whatever, and once I start drawing, all that disappears. So
All right, so we're gonna do a little controversy right here.
Mm-hmm.
In today's politically correct day and age,
Yes.
do you get any backlash from having half-naked chicks running around in your comics?
Which is funny. I probably do, but they don't tell me. Which is very strange, but because I have gotten moms with their kids actually coming to my booth, and it's so funny at WinterCon it happened. Like, she said, "Look, son, see these pages, see how amazing they are." I was like, I didn't know what to say, and then she's like, and then she goes, "You need to, get creative like him." So she was actually telling him, and she actually bought the whole set of books, and I was kind of surprised because that's normally I don't see that, a mom buying all these, especially what I draw. And that was pretty cool because son went away like real happy, and he was like, shook my hand. I was like okay. I felt kind of like okay, but it was one of those funny stories. But I know I get sometimes some, well, I don't really get them from regular folks. It's mostly from people from other parts. They're not really from New York, I guess.
This is what I'm talking about right here.
Like Pandora's Box, even her name. And speaking of which, I'm actually working on a live action trailer featuring her, and was actually my friend Jasmine Ivy plays the character, and me and Carlos, we created the helmets, the accessories. Carlos is spot actually. He's also an amazing writer, and the music is going to be done by my good friend and partner Joe Munoz, who does music and amazing production works. So the movie's actually, it's a short trailer, Mad Max style mixed with Cool World. So because we're doing is like we're actually combining artwork around the live action characters. So, and it's done by, actually directed by Justin Brooks, who does a lot of small indie films and stuff. He's an amazing. I'm pretty happy with the results.
We actually had Ivy on on one of our
Yes.
interviews. So on this very YouTube page, you can go. Well, people watching it live can go to our YouTube page.
You get to find her.
Yeah, it's on there. It was during the Big Apple Con. So that was in March.
Summer. Yep.
So
Pre-summer.
Pre-summer. Spring.
Spring.
So you guys can check out that interview we did with her.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah, and I did ask her a couple of questions about women and empowering.
Yeah.
And so do you find that, is there a line that should not be crossed when drawing half-naked women running around, all those types of things, or where do you see that?
Well, in the books I do, especially in the Curves and Bullets books, and other books I'm actually working on, they're mostly all women. And the thing I look at is that they're all super powered women. They're not the dainty, almost like Folly type girl, where she's just showing her boobs and she's, giggling. These are actually strong women that are pretty much, in control and self-control about everything they're doing. So, because I grew up with strong women in my life, so creating, I guess, these characters helped me a lot in creating these, because they're honestly all beautiful too. So trying to make them all like, and also smart, intelligent, and strong. So to me, that fine line is like, I rather draw them that way. They could be sexy but strong, but not sexy and dumb. So that, to me, I rather, that's my 2 cents with that one.
Okay, all right. So we have almost out of time. We have 12 minutes left. So I want to mention that Rolo is drawing something.
Yes.
Well, he's gonna be drawing it in a
I'm gonna
few
draw
minutes.
live.
So what are you gonna draw on that?
I love the X-Men. And especially now that I saw they have X-Men 92, which was in a good year. So I'm actually going to draw... I was going to draw Cyclops, but I figured let me draw Wolverine. He's one of my favorite characters, of course. And I always like to combine Wolverine and Ghost Rider. So I might just combine them both in a big action shot real quick.
Okay. So we always like doing some type of contest for this. So this is going to be at Royal Collectables, located at... for ourselves, anyway. Metro for now. What kind of contest should we do? What do you think would be a good thing? They'll follow your stuff, like your stuff.
They'll follow my stuff, curvesandbullets.com, and also Ledesma.com is the 2 websites that I have. And I actually have 3 posters that they can have, here at the shop. If they come and pick up anything, they'll get a signed copy of.
Oh, okay.
Here it is out. This one, Pandora. Of course, Ivy representing. You can't see it right there.
Right there.
And the cover of book 1, which I made into a poster. And there's also a banner. When you come to Comic-Con, you'll see a nice, huge banner of that.
So you can like on the video. You can
Yes.
like and follow Rolo. We'll make it simple because so we'll have whoever likes on the video will have entered in a name and we'll raffle it off.
Exactly. Yeah, randomly, and I'll have it signed and and hopefully one day, because that's the plan, to make this into a big production movie or something. So that's the goal.
And you are going to be at
I'll be at New York Comic Con at booth 2879.
2879.
Yep.
So if anybody mentions this video and they go up to you, what do you?
Oh, I'm gonna say, hey, thank you for coming through, and you're gonna see, of course, a lot of beautiful models, and they're all dressed up as my characters, and also the books I'm gonna premiere, which is Spear, written by a good friend of mine, and by Frank Orifice and Maria Secor, and it's like an espionage type story, like Black Widow style, and it's pretty fun. And it's colored by Sherwin, one of the art colors that does all my works too. And Sherwin Santiago is amazing. I gotta give it to this man. He's all the way in the Philippines, but he's my best friend, and he comes through with the artwork and the colors. Fantastic. So that's one of the books, Curves and Bullets, and then I'll have Indie 184, which is based on a real life graffiti artist. And it's one of the female graffiti artists. See, I always tend to go towards the female, empowerment thing. So, her story is about going through the struggles in a very despotic type, future place, and she's trying to send her message across. And she has like a little girl that she's looking out for, and it's a really cool story written by Carlos Espada. Actually, I wanted him to come through next time. We'll bring him through and stuff, so we'll talk more about it. And Indie 184 is an amazing graffiti artist. So we have a book coming out at the same time with all the other books, and then my own crazy story, which is apart from girls and bikes, is Goon Squad, which is mostly based on I did it about 20 years ago, messing around also with the sketches, because I'd done a lot of like graffiti style artwork, and I was influenced a lot by the graffiti, and I also done murals too, but I always wanted to create these characters based on like this graffiti type setting, cool worldish. So that's one of the books that's coming out, also written by my friend Ian Stigliani. So too many writers. But without them I wouldn't be here, so that's the key.
So since you're gonna have a booth at Comic-Con, 187 you said?
Indie 184.
Indie 184.
Yep.
What's the
my booth is 2879.
2879.
Yes.
2879. What are your thoughts on having what they call the booth babe? There was some controversy not too long ago at another convention where they banned booth babes. Like, you cannot have people
a little over the top.
Yeah.
Yes, and I've noticed that, and a lot of times even models that I've used in my own booth, I had to tell them, this is a lot of kids here, we gotta tone it down, because they're really voluptuous, of course. All these girls are beautiful, and they all showcase their style and costumes and stuff, but you got to be careful also, because a lot of times this is based on a children's world in some ways, so you can't always have in real. It's okay to maybe have it in as a drawing or a poster or something, but when you have them walking around like everything's out, it's kind of hard, because I feel bad for the parents, because a lot of times I notice that they have to like shield them and stuff, and I've seen it with my own eyes how they like push them away. So it's not easy.
All right, so last place, say the websites again, because we're almost out of time. We got like 5 minutes to go. So websites:
curvesandbullets.com, rololedesma.com.
You want to spell out Rolo Ledesma?
ROLO, like the chocolate candy, LEDESMA.
See if we can put
And
that. If I
that's
can get it.
right there.
Hold on.
Fill up the screen. There you go.
I'm going the wrong way.
Curvesandbullets.com. Can't miss that.
Okay.
And that's my website.
So we're gonna raffle off
Yes.
all these original artwork and the drawing at Royal Collectables.
Yep.
They're actually going to have this weekend, this Saturday. I'm gonna hold this up. They're going to have Neil Adams here.
My idol.
At a signature for a signing. You get the first signature is free. They're gonna have CG comic
yes,
grading.
comic guy
Grading.
Yeah, grading.
They're gonna grade books available, so that way, if you get something signed by him, you can have it graded.
Yep.
And it's gonna be from 2 to 5 this Saturday, the 20th.
He's amazing.
This Saturday, 29th. So
amazing.
make sure you guys check that out. It's very important. So start drawing,
Yes.
and I'm going to mention how you guys can always listen to our radio show and see it. And we're gonna have pictures. I'm gonna take some pictures of that way people can see the progress of what's gonna come out. So can you talk and draw? You gonna be able to do that?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's
right.
do it. So I'm gonna
I'm
gonna go in without even pencil.
So I will tell my Jim Lee story, because this is gonna be something like that, because it's X-Men.
Yes.
I was at a convention in the Javits Center before it was New York Comic Con. This was in the 90s. And it was the first one they had in the Javits Center.
Wow.
It was a big convention. It was in the basement downstairs. And of the Javits. Well, it's not the basement of the Javits.
The lower level.
Yeah, it was the entire floor. And there was a toy store, a booth that had toys. And I was just standing around looking around, and this little Asian guy comes up, and he's like, "Hey, how much for the pink Power Ranger action figure?" Because at the time that was the hardest one to find.
Wow.
It was the pink Power Ranger figure.
Yes.
And the guy was like, "I'll do it for a sketch." And he goes, "Okay," and he hands him a sketch pad, and then he just starts drawing. And this guy is standing just like Rolo is to me, like right next to me. So I see him whip out a Marks a Lot marker just like this one. I've said this story many times on a radio show. He takes out a marker just like this, which has as you can see,
broad tip.
The broad tip. He takes this out, and just this alone, no pencil, nothing else, he draws something right in front of my eyes, a death blow.
I love that comic.
And he drew it right in front of my eyes, and I'm looking at that, and then it's drawing a crowd. I'm like, oh, what the hell? Why is all these people here? So, yeah, and I'm like, what's the big deal? And then people saying, "That's Jim Lee, that's Jim Lee."
Wow.
I'm like, oh, that's Jim Lee, and I see him draw it in front of me, and that from that day on, I've always been like, that's why that guy's Jim Lee. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Something created in front of my eyes.
It's amazing.
It's not like. The most important thing is that it's with the Marks a Lot marker.
Exactly.
If anybody who draws knows how difficult it is to draw something with this alone, no pencil, nothing, just a blank sketch.
Just straight on.
Yeah.
It's the hardest thing ever, and I love that Marks a Lot. In fact, way back in the days, it was called El Marco.
So, really?
So, same thing. It hasn't changed except the name.
So we'll give we'll give everybody a month, because we still have like 2 more days before the last contest is over. We did the last interview we did was with Steve Harris, and we have the Planet Hulk, and all you had to do was comment on the video, on the YouTube video. It's up there right now. So this one, you just have to like it. You don't even have to comment. You just have to like it, and your name will be entered, because we can track those things, how many people like the stuff. I do want to give a shout out to Brian and Jess Ferreira, because
without them,
Brian used to do the show with me. It came from the radio, which was something quite interesting. And then, like I said, I've known Rolo for about 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool seeing how far he's come and all the stuff that he's been doing. So make sure you do that. There's also all the videos on our YouTube page, so like us, follow us, subscribe us, and all that other jazz. And we have a radio show called It Came From the Radio, which airs every Sunday.
I've been on it too. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, he has. On WGBB 1240 AM, for those of you who have a radio in the New York area. If you can also go into the website www.am1240wgbb.com. You can do the audio streaming, and we also have archives of our show. If you missed the live show, you can go onto our site www.itcamefromtheradio.com, or you can check us out on iHeartRadio, and you can listen to the archives there. We've had tons of guests. Most recently, the biggest thing we had was William Shatner. William Shatner, the William Shatner was on our show. We've had Amy Jo Johnson. Speaking of the Pink Power Ranger, she was a great person. You're a Buffy fan. We had Amber Benson.
Nice.
So make sure you guys go and check that. And that is about us time. Anything else you want to mention quickly before we go?
Well, just a big shout out to Mark. Because of him, I always get the cool opportunities, and I appreciate everything he does. And everyone I've known, like Joe Munoz and my friend Maribela, who's from Germany, who's actually an amazing stunt rider, and Carlos, and a whole bunch of beautiful people I have in my life. I have pretty blessed. So, yeah.
All right, so we'll see you next time. Remember, go to Royal Collectables. That's www.royalcollectablesnyc.com for more information on the raffles. And I guess that's it. We'll see you next time.
Yep.